Hey, welcome to What's Up, Mike. It's April 1st, which is not April Fool's Day for me. It is report day for the business. We report to all of our clients on what's going on, what the outlook for their marketing campaigns and advertising campaigns looks like. And this is the most dicey report day for us ever, maybe. Meme culture is strong these days, and teachers are going so hard on parent guilt right now. So, yeah. Interesting times. So the first April Fools, which to us is just report day for our clients, and what clients are looking for right now is some predictability, somebody to tell them it's going to be okay. So we've got some important things that we're telling people. These are small businesses trying to figure out how their business is going to run for the next 4 to 6 weeks, 8 weeks maybe, what the outlook's going to be, when things are going to pick up, when to make the right decisions on advertising. This is a business development episode a little bit for anybody who might be listening, just because today's such a big day for our whole client set and how we're building small business given the current times with shutdowns and quarantines. And one of the biggest things that I think people get caught up with this is like peak deaths per day, peak infection positive tests per day, whatever it is. Those stats don't actually matter as much or don't directly correlate to small business activity compared to some other things that are a much better indicator for patterns of life. So patterns of life is this term that I've pulled from my experience in the military, which is like 90% of my life these days is shit that I've drawn from my experience in the Army. But the patterns of life is an intelligence collection term and analysis term where we look at what the typical patterns are for daily life in a certain area for a set demographic of people. And so with each of our clients, we look at their demographic or who their primary customer or client base is, and we try to understand that type of person, those demographics, and their patterns of life in order to put advertising and messaging in the right kind of place so that we hit the right client or customer base that's got a high likelihood of engaging with the business with the right material to cue the right action. Go look at the website, view this piece of media, click on and check out and purchase that product, sign up for this service, whatever it is, whatever the goal is for the client. We're trying to show the right media to the right person in a way that fits into their life so that it resonates best, cues the right action. So patterns of life, what people are doing, what people's tendencies are across a whole demographic is what we're looking at. So what is the stat for this virus that is the best indicator of patterns of life as it relates to small business? That's the big question, right? So what we're telling clients right now, and this is some secret insight shit, what we're telling clients right now is it has nothing to do or little to do or nothing directly to do with death rates per day. The statistics and graphs that are being published are showing that, peak cases, peak deaths per day in South Carolina, where we are, and nationally in the U.S., are going to come around in late April, I think. But we're advising people pick up advertising and marketing efforts in mid-April because of a few reasons. So the primary stat that we're actually interested in is testing for antibodies and verifying who has had and successfully recovered from the virus, right? So the testing and subsequent results will be what allows people to actually break quarantine regardless of peak hospitalization numbers. This week and next week are the testing and verification weeks in the U.S., essentially. I'm a fan of Dr. Drew, and frankly, he's friends with Dr. Fauci, who's essentially the highest level government advisor to the administration, and is in every White House press briefing on this subject. And he's advised, I think, 5 administrations at this point. Fauci's the man. Dr. Drew is homies with him and is essentially a speaker box for what that guy says for good reason. And what they're saying is that this week and next week are the weeks where we have testing and verification. Testing and understanding of who has had, and what indicators show antibodies for who will most likely be resistant in the future or may not get the virus again. So those people, once they're verified, well, they have no reason to remain on quarantine. They have no reason to have alternate patterns of life as a result of this virus because of their significantly lowered risk factors for both transmission and negative health outcomes. So by the end of this week, we should have next week, we should have a more clear outlook on how the healthcare system is verifying people who have the virus, who's recovered, who possess the antibodies, and who can thus go back to work, pick up normal patterns of life, consumer behavior again. So that's the big point of interest for our clients, is when will patterns of life return to something that looks more normal or looks more fruitful for business. And so that's going to depend on testing, verification, and of who has already had it and recovered. And that pattern and those curves are not going to align with daily peak cases, daily deaths. As morbid as some of those statistics are, and as scary and tragic as they are, they don't relate directly to business development activity other than from a cultural fear standpoint. So the most important stat for economic activity is that testing, verification, because that's what allows people to return to normal patterns of life, or more normal, more historical or traditional patterns of life. So having a research scientist / pharmacist in the family is awfully helpful with this. My wife is a clinical pharmacist with ICU, ER experience, research experience. She's published multiple times, and her insight, as well as my friend group from college who has doctors, mathematicians, statistics experts, and some intelligent folks who provide well thought out opinions. That kind of conglomeration of information is what I'm using, in addition to some predictive analysis from people like Peter Zeihan. If you don't follow Peter Zeihan's geopolitics newsletter, frankly, if you want to know more about what's going on in the world in the least required time expenditure to gain that knowledge, Peter Zeihan's just the source. The best source I've ever been able to find on it, as neutral and analysis, predictive in nature versus partisan in nature, a source you will get for that kind of news. So I'm pulling from these sources, and then what I'm seeing in our local market and how it affects our clients to kind of figure this shit out. So and really the biggest thing in all of this, if you have clients or customers, there's a significant kind of point that you need to pass in notifying clients or customers about this situation to build or maintain some confidence, limit the fear and confidence lost, maybe, whatever that is. But if I get another email from a retailer, someone I've interacted with in the past, some email list I'm on that says how we're handling COVID-19, I just do not care how the closing attorney from the house I bought 5 years ago and have since sold is handling COVID-19. I just don't give a shit about how their office is handling COVID-19. It makes no impact on my life. It's people sending out emails to just get another touch point. There's no value added when you send one of those emails to your customer or client list. So just stop doing that shit. I think I'm a professional marketing and advertising person. Now, from someone who does what I do, we're advising our clients against it, because how many emails have you been inundated with that have either slightly outdated information or information you're not going to take any action on? You don't care how the jewelry website that you bought a gift for your wife on 3 years ago is handling the fucking coronavirus. There's just no value there. But, sorry to max your earbuds out there, but this is a really important point. If you own a business or work in a decision-making capacity for a business that's considering this or has already done this, the real message is something that is something that's going to affect the actual customer or client. Gives them some predictability. If you provide a necessary service, right? If you're a plumber, people have plumbing issues. Those things are going to keep happening because people continue to use their facilities in their home, if not, more than previously. So those kinds of things are still going to happen. Those business opportunities, if you call them that, are still there. And people need to know how you're doing business now in a way that specifically affects them. Right? So like, hey, if you have a plumbing issue, I just want to let everybody know ABC Plumbers is still in business, but given the current situation, this is how we're doing house calls differently. Everyone wears nitrile or latex gloves. Every single one of our technicians, when in any contact with a customer, has a mask on for that customer's protection. These masks protect the people around you when you wear one. They don't protect you unless it's an N95. And even still, somebody like me is never going to get a clear seal on that mask, right? I've got this beard. It screws up a seal on any of that. So really, if I put on one of those masks, it's just to make sure that if I cough, my spit doesn't get into your mouth, right? So if you send an email to clients that say, or customers or whatever, that says, hey, this is what we're doing to protect you. We're still in business for these reasons. Or, hey, this is how we've modified operations. Here's the opportunity. We have a food truck client. This shit's brilliant, right? We have a food truck client, and they did this correctly. Shout out to Braised in the South. Right, you go to their website. We'll even give them a little shout out for the website here to all 18 of my listeners. BraisedInTheSouthFoodTruck.com. What do you see when you go to their site? Special delivery. Under the current circumstances, you don't have to come to us. We'll come to you. Here's our minimum on orders. Place your delivery order now. Yo, I want braised beef and pork tacos. I think I'm going to put a special delivery order in for my whole cul-de-sac. Use sanitation measures and get that stuff out there because, yeah, man, send the taco delivery truck. They're taking precautions. They've got gloves on. They're going to wear masks when they talk to people and get up close with people. They don't want infection that'll shut down the little bit of business that they have going on now, but that's the right way to do it. Give people information for how you're handling this that adds value to them. And if you don't have something that adds value, don't send something that clogs up somebody's email address or email inbox, whatever. So that's the right way to do it. Don't be another one of those emails. So we're talking our clients through that process and explaining what we're using to analyze, that we're actively tracking this, and that we have strong recommendations for how they handle their marketing and advertising right now. Go for brand awareness. I've already talked about this. There's eyeballs out there. There's more people looking, less people doing, and more people exiting the market. Advertising is cheaper. There's more eyeballs. The brand awareness opportunity is there. You want to develop momentum coming out of this as a business? Build your brand awareness now. The eyeballs are cheap and plentiful. You'll build momentum and then transition that targeting the most impressions campaign into targeting the most clicks or targeting the most conversions. Go from trying to get your ads visible to the most people to trying to get the most people to your website as we transition back to normal operations or normal patterns of life and normal business activity, no quarantines. So you build momentum with brand awareness. Then you transition those campaigns to a direct response style. And so this is the kind of stuff we're telling our clients, and we're giving them confidence that, number one, we actually have a plan and we're paying attention, and that gives them confidence that their money with us is well spent. And guess what happens? We don't have the client pause. Something else we're doing is if clients do pause services, we don't respond negatively to that. We want to help them with their business outlook, help them with their confidence for future business. So we talk through how we're going to support them even when they pause services and aren't paying us, right? We're still going to do analysis and reporting even for people who pause with us because that gives them the information that they need to start back services, right? If somebody says, hey, we want to pause, and we say, oh, that's a terrible idea. How could you do this to us? You're fucking it all up. That doesn't help or build the relationship. That doesn't increase the likelihood for our revenue in the future being higher. So that is what we're doing. That's how we handle reporting day. Now, something we're seeing a lot more of is this homeschooling effort and how teachers are going hard. Some teachers, not all. Some are absolutely brilliant and figuring out creative ways to handle this that support parents and all of that. Big caveat for great people out there. But the there's some teachers going hard in the paint on parent guilt right now. So I'll describe our situation to give folks an idea of kind of what that looks like if you don't have kids in elementary school. I'm obviously working. Today's report day. I'm taking 25 minutes out of furiously sending all of our reporting analysis reports to all of our clients, all of our write-ups, all of our recommendations, all of that, the detailed stuff that we send to people that's kind of customized to their situation every month. It's an arduous task, but the clients love it. It's great for retention. They get confidence in their marketing and advertising campaigns and the logic behind them, the expected results, all of that. So I do that. I work all day. My business has not slowed down at all. If anything, there's more requirements on my time to facilitate communication with the team and keep all of that as, efficient and effective as possible. So I'm fully engaged. If anything, an hour or two extra a day because of communication reasons and kind of reactionary stuff that our clients demand as a result of the volatility, right? So I'm busy. My lovely wife, smoking hot wife, is a research scientist, pharmacist at the biggest, highest volume hospital and trauma unit in the state. They kind of go back and forth with one of the other ones in upstate South Carolina over in Spartanburg. But either way, she has experience in ICU and ER. She's about to get pulled, cross-trained immediately, and utilized across the organization because of her experience to support this influx of patients. We're busy, man. So I have an 8, 6, and a 4-year-old. The 8-year-old and 6-year-old, third grade and first grade, have assignments daily, weekly, all this stuff that's coming home. And our teachers haven't crossed that line in the sand that I've got in my head yet, but we just aren't getting it all done. I think our kids are probably doing about 40 to 60% of the required heavy air quotes on that word required work. And that's fine. There's just if a teacher feels the need to threaten a student's future outcomes, falling behind, not prepared for follow-on years, failing grades, holding a student back. If the threat of having to repeat grades is out there consistently and it's there in order to motivate parents to be more involved in the schoolwork, I'll say this very clearly, that tactic will fail. Because what you'll get is parents who act out of spite towards teachers who are being overbearing, right? The moment somebody claims to know what's best for my child over what I know, they can fuck off. Every parent is like that, right? So this isn't necessarily a complaint because I'm not experiencing a severely negative situation. I'm just very practically approaching this. But if you're a parent and you're feeling anxiety over this, you're good. If you do anything to engage with your child on this, anything to present them an opportunity to keep involved with their class, get some assignments done, log in to Seesaw or whatever other program they've got going on for these assignments, if you do any of that and engage and just try and do what you think's best for your kid, you're good. Good. That's all it takes, man. Teachers, support those parents, support those kids. If you feel like laying on the guilt or urgency is going to help in this situation, I've got some predictive analysis for you. It's not going to help. So, but look at these teachers' perspective, right? Talk about being caught between a rock and a hard place. How much pressure are they getting? I'm curious. So I've got some teacher friends out there. How much pressure are they getting to manage assignments and submit assignments that are required? What does the administration put on teachers? What's the expectation? Teachers are in a rough spot. I mean, we have a client that is a school that has laid off all of their teachers because they've closed for the rest of the year. They're not a public school. And it's only like preschool, kindergarten stuff, but they're struggling. Right. So these schools are in a rough place. Teachers have these competing requirements on their time and what they're expected to get these kids through remotely. It's an incredible challenge, but I tell you, parent guilt is not the avenue to take. So tough spot for teachers, tough spot for parents, tough spot for these kids, but a little bit of engagement, doing what you think's best. If parents doing that, that's where it's at right there. So, yeah. The meme culture, switching gears, the meme culture is strong. I get more memes texted to me in Instagram messages, probably five times more per day than my like steady state level of being inundated with hilarious memes. But I think it's a combination of more people at home, more people with the cell phone in their hands, obviously, and then Netflix knows when to lay it on thick with those outrageous docu-series, the modern version of reality. I love this modern version of reality TV. I talked about Tiger King in a previous episode, but all the docu-series that are out, that's the new reality TV, this Bachelor shit. People love that shit. I can't get it. I can't understand the fabricated scripted reality TV that kind of started with real world road rules back in the 90s. Half of that stuff was scripted and scenarios set up and all of that to kind of create conflict for fun, engagement, and something to watch. Don't even need to set shit up with these crazy ass stories. I mean, Tiger King being the prime example right now, but there's some wild shit out there on Netflix where you don't have to stage anything because it's hard to believe in its true form. And man, that drives some memes. The combination of Tiger King memes with the expectations for homeschooling your kids is it's hard not to laugh. So yeah, go get it. Get on Instagram. It's where it's at. So yeah. Business development, making people a little more confident in the outlook, hopefully. I'm going to go and, I don't know, see what kind of spelling homework my kids have to do on an iPad somewhere. Whatever. All right. Well, hey, thanks for hanging out. We'll be back again tomorrow. I'm going to keep this going. I'm having a good time with it. And again, YouTube's got some 30-day waiting policy. All of these videos are recorded, though, so if you listen to audio, all the video is going to be there. And, stay healthy out there. Stay sane. We'll stick with that. Stay sane out there.